This is Yerushalmi Demai, Daf Lamed Vav, the article Oz V'Hadar edition. We are at the top of Lamed Vav Lamed Aleph in the art scroll. Um, Mamish at the top, Halacha Beis. And in the Vilna, it is Yud Zayin Amud Beis at the Mishnah. Somebody who takes an eder that the host takes an eder that the potential guest should be barred from getting any benefit from the host if the guest does not get hosted by the host at the meal that the host is inviting him to. Otherwise, it's too confusing. The host is Madia, the potential guest. So, the problem is that the potential guest is not. We believe that the host is going to take up meisers. He's allowed to eat with him on a first Shabbos. Well, I'll explain what it is. Even though he's not believing in the meisers, as long as he says that they're actually meiser. Shabbos Shnia, the second Shabbos, even if he says, I'm going to bar you from deriving benefit from me unless you eat with me, he shouldn't eat until he takes off meiser. Says Gemara, as we said, that's a Shabbos Sheva brachas mipnei Eva. This is on account of Eva, and as Reb Chaim Kanievsky has said previously, this is it's not like the Mishnah before where you forgot the Komaitza and you can ask the Amoritz because there you intended to eat it, that you were so mechdas on that food from before Shabbos, and therefore you can ask him Shabbos, Ema Shabbos or Oretz. Amoritz can lie him. Here we're not so mech, and therefore they only matir because of Eva. That's Reb Chaim's distinction. The Mashbiach writes a different distinction. That in the previous Mishnah, where we believed him, there the person purchased the produce, and therefore once he purchased it, evidently we are more lenient. As opposed here, you're eating the Amoritz's house. It's not, you didn't purchase anything, so that they're only a matir on once the first Shabbos, but. Afterwards, you cannot rely. Even though there's Ava involved, you can't rely on that. On asking him, on his having told you it's meiser. I'm assuming his having told you is meiser here can be understood as should be understood as he told you before Shabbos it's meiser, because he told you on Shabbos it's meiser, then. Amos Hamoritz should kick in. Although maybe that's exactly the difference. Another difference is that the previous Mishnah, he said Amos Shabbos al Amoritz. That's you asked him on Shabbos. But here it's about even if he told before Shabbos that it is that was Meiser. So nevertheless, even though there's no Amos Shabbos al Amoritz for because of Ava, you can rely on this, and you don't have to ask again on Shabbos because. That would also be insulting. But only one Shabbos they allow this, not more. So we have three distinctions. The Reb Chaim's distinction between where you were Soimech, the previous Mishnah, and here we're not Soimech. And the Mashbiach distinction between where you purchase it or where you're a guest. And my distinction between where he told you on Shabbos, you asked him on Shabbos, and here where he told you before Shabbos. The previous Mishnah we didn't require Ava as a basis for Eter. In this Mishnah we do require Ava as a basis for Eter. Here we went so far, it's very strongly at putting it, that we allowed a Tevel, obviously Tevel the Rabbanon, because of Darkei Shalom. Darkei Shalom is worth being Matir Tevel the Rabbanon, which is kind of a shocking thing. Achim Rabbi Yirmiyah boy, or Rabbi China said, Rabbi asked, even a Darkei Shalom, Lama Livi Vachim Musarin Hay. Why do you need him to say that they're Meiser? Obviously, we're not being Matir Tevel outright, because then we should Matir it, even if he didn't say anything. Yet we're saying that that it's dafka if he told you that it's Musar. So it's not really being Matir Tevel mamish. So according to our Chaim says, according to our Gemara's Girsa, in front of us, there's no answer to Rabbi Yirmiyah's question. It's left dangling. But the Gra has a Girsa, Ayidei Ila. Like it said, like we had previously, by the previous Mishnah, it means that they were matir, but because of Kavod Shabbos. But they needed an excuse, so therefore they needed him to tell you that it's Meiser. Okay. Shalom Shabbos Yisharim below Ba. Okay, you asked him in the first Shabbos, but you didn't come. Right? You asked him if it's Meiser, and again, according to the chiluk I gave, you asked him before Shabbos, but you asked him for the first Shabbos, and you didn't make it that Shabbos. Can the second Shabbos be considered to be the first Shabbos? And there's no resolution of this. It's a Shabbos Shebrach. It's the originally Matir, the first Shabbos, but I guess to be a Shabbos, maybe Matir extends to other significant occasions. Maybe the first one in Mechutin, each man in Mechutin, no matter when it is. But in any event, the Gemara doesn't resolve the question. Amar Chisar Kan Shneinir. Here we learn also Chavar Shiyochel B'Suda She'ein Lo Shein. A suda which is not a sudas mitzvah, says Reb Chaim. Because if not, and why would they not matir in the second meal? So it must be that, in fact, it's not he's learning that the second meal is not a Sheva Brachas meal. Okay, and since it's not a Sheva Brachas meal, so therefore you can't use that there. So I guess I don't know, it's wrote here there's lo ifshita, but it seems that Rav Chisda is and Reb Chaim says lishul of lo ifshit. But it seems Rav Chisda is answering. Rav Chisda says that no, the second meal is no longer the Shabbos Sheva Brachos. It's Shabbos Sheva Sudas Mitzvah. Except for the Ava doesn't apply. Ava only applies by Sudas Mitzvah. That could be, it seems to be the case. Interesting, my Chavrusa said, interesting point, that it seems from Mar Gemara the Zimshim B'nei Eva B'nei Darkei Shalom, because the first Gemara says Yitum B'nei Eva. No, it actually seems the same. Not clear, but I just want to point it out. First Gemara says, Rabbi Shmuel says name Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yana Rabbi Shmuel says name Rabbi Yochanan Mishnei Eva, and Rabbi Bun says Yitirutron Nei Darkei Shalom. And then Rabbi Yirmiyah asks if it's Darkei Shalom, why is that doing with starting? So it's not clear. It could go either way. I'm not sure how to resolve whether Ava and Darkei Shalom should be considered the same thing or not. I think it seems like they are the same thing, because it seems to be using them interchangeably here. Okay, Halacha Gimel. Rabbi Elazar, Ein Adam Tzirich Likro Shema Ma'aser Ani Shel Demai. You don't have to designate Ma'aser Sheni Shel Demai. V'chaim korei shem. V'chaim say you do have to designate it. Vein tzorach lafrish. Lafrish, you just don't have to separate it. Mish korei shem l'shumas meiser shel demai and meiser ani shel vadai. Somebody who designated shumas meiser of demai and meiser ani of vadai. Late lane b'Shabbos. You should not take him off on Shabbos because obviously it looks like you're masaking it. Ve'al kohen o ani lemudim lachol etzo. But if a kohen or an ani are used to coming to eat by him on Shabbos, so then Yovov Yochlu, they can come and eat. But Yodim, as long as you tell them that what they're about to eat is their the Chumas Meiser and or the Maisoni. Says Marabba Bahunu Shem Ram said Ocha Perosov Tfulim LeMeiser. It says Sheni, but the Rash brought down Rechaim Kanevsky changed it to Oni. So some relates to Tevel, which is Tevel Meiser Oni. That Meiser is not been taken off. Chai Misa. He's liable to death. Matan Rebbe Lezer became Shubavo Misa Mafresh. So the he's going back in the Mishnah. Right? The back of the Mishnah was Rabbi Lezer, who said you don't have to be korei shem on Ma'aser Oni Shel Demai. So why don't you have to be korei shem on Ma'aser Oni Shel Demai? Because since it's a Bavon Misa, he's going to be mafresh. We're not concerned that the Oni did not take it off. No, he didn't take it off. That was not korei shem. And basically because the person, the Amoritz, he doesn't want to lose money, but he doesn't want to chayav. He doesn't want to die. So what he'll do is he'll designate the Meiserani. But he won't give it. Because the Isser Gezel he doesn't care about so much. Because they less ani. This eating tevel that he cares about. So that's the case. Rabbi Lezer says, I don't have to designate Meiser Ani because the Amoritz already designated Meiser Ani. Why? Because he's afraid of death. Okay, so let's see the inside again. So now, Matan Lezer, what's the reason of Lezer Mishnah who says you don't have to be korei shem on Meiser Ani? Became sure this is Amoritz no Shubava Misa Marfish he already designated it. He didn't give it, but he designated it. Matam the Rabbanon. What's so? That's the case. Why do Rabbanon require the purchaser to take off Meiser Ani again? So below kach korei shem in tzorach lafrish. It's not a big deal, right? Because always doing korei shem and not being mafrish anyway. It's keeping itself. Because Hamatzah Rabbeinu Levaraya, though, and he has no proof that it was not Ranim. They can't come and demand because who said maybe it was Meiser already. So therefore, he's not. There's no deficit to him to doing so. So he should do it. It says here in the Gemara Hanemon, the Gra and Reb Chaim take that out. Rosa Mafish Sheni. What if they see him take off? The Amar take off Meiser Sheni. So Tanya Nemal Sheni, Nemal Rishon. If he's believed Meiser Sheni, he's in Meiser Rishon. We can infer that he took off Meiser Rishon as well. Rabbi Lezer. Chomri Chaim says that Nemal Rishon, Nemal Sheni. If he's believed on, if he's credible for Meiser Rishon, he's also credible for Meiser Sheni. But a Nemal Sheni, but somebody who's credible only for Meiser Sheni, ain't no Nemal Rishon, not credible Meiser Rishon. Because he has to give the he doesn't, since he has to give the Meiser Rishon at least the Trumas Meiser. He has to give it to somebody else. He's not okay with taking Meiser Rishon. Meiser Sheni he has to keep for himself. He played that minimally and then eat it. But to Meiser Rishon, since he has to give at least the Trumas Meiser to the Levi, so he's not going to. He's not neman on it. Chaim says because he's going to have to give the entire Meiser Rishon Levi, but I think that he might not give the entire Meiser Rishon to Levi, because just like the Ani is not considered Isser Gezel. We know that the Amoritz, once he takes a Meiser, he knows he has to take off Meiser Rishon, Chumas Meiser, and that's he's much more makbid on. So therefore, he doesn't take on Meiser Rishon. Avoid having to take on Chumas Meiser. And since that's the case, if he's Naaman on Meiser Sheni, he's not believed in Meiser Rishon. My time, Rebbe Lezer. So what's the logic of Rebbe Lezer? That he says, if you believe in Meiser Sheni, you believe in Meiser Rishon. Is which of the reasons is it? Is it Mishum She'enu Choshev Lagdim? Is because it was not suspect to have take on Meiser Sheni before Meiser Rishon. Therefore, he didn't take on Meiser Sheni. He certainly took on Meiser Rishon. Or Sheni, or because he took on Meiser Sheni, Chazak Shifrish Rishon. There's a Chazak that he took off the Rishon. So it's difficult to differentiate between the two reasons here. The Mashbiach says they're one reason. And he says that the derech of Yerushalmi is to use the word O instead of a Vav Achibur. And therefore it's Mishum Sheni Chosh Lakdim, Umishum Shifri Sheni Chazaka Shifri Rishon. Since he's not suspect um, um, to take off Meiser Sheni before Meiser Rishon, so if we see him take off Meiser Sheni, he must have also taken off Meiser Rishon. The next Gemara is very difficult. It's best. It works out best when I like to read Baz. So the read Baz does know that these are two different reasons, not like the Mashbiach, and the two different reasons are: is it because it was mocked? What's the reason Eliezer believes the fellow who took off Sheni, they took off Rishon? Is it because since he took off Sheni, he's not he's not going to, it's not chashav makdim Sheni to Rishon, so he must take off Rishon if he took off Sheni, or is it because it's a chazaka since it's mafresh meiser Sheni, so therefore he is certainly mafresh meiser Rishon. So the Gemara now is going to bring a raya that it's the first reason in Minei Chashav Lagdim, not because of chazaka. How so? So the Gemara says, "Vatniyan, didn't we learn?" Um, uh, that Rabbi Lezer ain't certainly crochet the meiser on Ishel Demai. The Amish say he doesn't record Sheni Demai Hosheni Tzarich. But so the inference is that Meiser Sheni would have to. So it says read Baz. Perished Oven Gor Kavachomer. Mashnei Masu Sheshovin. Sheni will have to be below his name. Only Meiser Sheni should be the same. If he does the Korah Shem the Meiser Oni, why is that the Korah Shem the Meiser the Lokech? Doesn't have the Korah Shem the Meiser Oni? Why is the Korah Shem the Meiser Sheni? They're both the same. The Oni with the Amarts have no hefsed, taking either one off. You just designate it, not be chayiv misa, and then the going his merry way. That's what he didn't care about, right? Sheni hefsed b'shnei afilach einu neman. The fact he's believe Meiser Oni doesn't give him credibility for Meiser Sheni. Lo koshkin the einu, so they have lo koshkin einu and neman. The Meiser She'enu have said Meiser Sheyesh will have say bafresh also. So certainly he's not going to believe from a Meiser that he doesn't have said. Meiser Oni, that just because he took that off, took off Meiser Sheni, they took off Meiser Rishon. Because Meiser Sheni, he has no said, right? So if he took it off, fine. Then it's like Meiser Oni. Normally he's not believing Meiser Sheni. Why not? Maybe because he doesn't want to, even the tircha of having to take it to be potet. So therefore he's not believing normally in Meiser Sheni. But now that we saw him take off Meiser Sheni, fine, Meiser Sheni he took off because he doesn't have to give it to somebody else, right? He gets to keep it, just redeems it or takes it to Yerushalmi. So Ma'im Sheni. So I mixed myself up here. I'm gonna go back to read Baz. Lo koshkin enu nemay meiser shein lo have said al meiser sheyesh lo have said about Pashas. It's not believe just because meiser shein, so they take a meiser rishon. Then meiser sheyesh bo have said about Pashas, meiser shein bo have said. It only makes sense to say believe the other way around, like how Chotnim say. Could go that if he takes a meiser rishon, we believe that he take a meiser sheni. Take a meiser rishon. But he has hefsed. Because believe on that, you see, they so he's believed that Ma'aser Sheni. Fine, but part of kavachomer. That's the kavachomer. Can't let's just feel to me oni l'sheni ain't a muksuk. It takes up ani doesn't mean we believe it takes up sheni. They be shnei man hefsed. Even though by both doesn't have a loss. Koshken on Rishon. Certainly he's not going to believe because of the sheni that if he took off sheni, they took off Rishon. Yesh hefsed brafah also. That he does have a loss by separating it. The pshita zeinu ne'aman. Certainly not believe. Kamo the Masik. Masheni ain't the Rabo. I'm Tovas no pay Rosheno no saying like Kodesh Baruch Hu mizeh klum. He doesn't give it to anything to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Let's keep the whole thing. Kamo the Miyam Ba'am Shloishu. I'm not sure why I has to go with this here. But okay. I has to give it to no saying Kodesh Baruch Hu klum. Torah Chafri, she has to say, take separate research. She has to Rabba Amoritz Lokoshke. I don't know what he's saying in that second part. We don't have to go with the second part of the Rebaz. The first part works fine. So so again, let's see in the Gemara again. But there, let's make any of them to every gross Shani Meiser on Yishel Demai. Shani, sorry. So yes, Maim Shani. Shein LeRabba Tovas meaning. He doesn't have to give it to anybody. I'm not sure what the Rebaz wants, the Shulchan Rabcha, whatever. He doesn't have to give it to anybody. He gets to keep it. Tovas is a euphemism of having to give it. Because Tovas comes when you give it to whoever you want to give it. Tzarech lahafrish. So the buyer has to take it up because we don't believe that the Amoritz did, despite the fact that we believe on Meiser Ani. Rishon, the Meiser Rishon, sheyesh l'rabot Tovas. I mean that he has to give it to somebody, right? Because Meiser Rishon is Meiser Rishon has to be given to a Levi. Even if you don't give the whole thing to a Levi, you still have to give Chumas Meiser and Amos Chumas Meiser al Amoritz to Kohen. So therefore, you have to give something away. Lo koshkein, you certainly should not be believed. Right? Again, if Chum Meiser Sheni, which is like Meiser Ani, he has no credibility on. So therefore, on Meiser Rishon, which is not like Meiser Ani, it's worse because he has to give something away. He certainly has no credibility. So therefore, the second reason, which is given, of because he had chazaka that he's since there's a chazaka that since he was marfi sheni chazaka shivishon doesn't make sense. Kav chomer doesn't work that way. Sheni, on the contrary, it says chachamim should be right. If you think of rishon where you have a loss, it shouldn't be credible. Assume that taking of sheni where you don't have a loss. If they take of sheni, we don't have a loss. There's no kav chomer to say took of rishon. We do have a loss. So, and that's again, like he says, the buyer has to take off. And he doesn't want to give it. So therefore, it must be that the reason is only the first reason. But Rabbi Lezer says that because, since he gave if we see him giving the sheni, it's a raya that he gave the rishon, the amoretz. It must be because even the amoretz is not chashed to be makdi ma'aser sheni to ma'aser rishon. Even he knows that sheni has to follow rishon, and therefore that's what he believes. So the first reason given is the reason, not the second reason given. Okay, that was a bit choppy, but I looked long and hard at all the different Berushim here, and I think that is the most lot of all of them. And now that brings us, of course, to the top of Lamed Zayin Amud Aleph, to 2 dots. So we'll stop here for today.